Prime Minister very early on in her term last year, more than a year ago, would have told us that the primary issue and challenge with respect to foreign exchange was a forex cartel. She promised the nation that a statement, or rather that some sort of, that they were going to provide us with some sort of document proving this forex cartel. Here we are almost 15 months later, and the Prime Minister is yet to provide the nation with this report on the alleged foreign exchange cartel. Businesses, as they continue to close, again, because of the policies of the Minister of Finance and by extension this government, is having a negative impact on economic development in this country. And perhaps that is the reason why the government is now seeking to run down all of these seemingly fly-by-night projects, thief-in-the-night projects that we don't know where it came from, whose idea was it, where it originated, whether it was the government that would have proposed, or if it is that these persons proposed to the government. All of these things are questions that need to be answered.
Acting President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, says Trinidad and Tobago's support has been a beacon of hope in times of sorrow following the deadly earthquakes that affected Venezuela last month. In a correspondence dated July 8th, Ms. Rodriguez thanked Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the people of Trinidad and Tobago for their expressions of sympathy, solidarity and assistance, adding that the response reaffirmed that the path between nations is solidarity. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar responded on Tuesday, July 14th, reaffirming Trinidad and Tobago's commitment to standing with Venezuela throughout its recovery and rebuilding process. The Prime Minister noted that following a June 26 telephone conversation with Ms. Rodriguez, Trinidad and Tobago activated a major public-private humanitarian relief effort, with more than 238 tons of relief supplies having arrived at Venezuela's international port of La Guaira on July 10th. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar also highlighted ongoing cooperation between both countries to facilitate the shipment of requested vaccines to Venezuela through Caribbean Airlines. She said humanitarian missions into Venezuela have also been allowed to traverse TNT airspace. Describing Venezuela as Trinidad and Tobago's closest neighbor, the Prime Minister said the South American country occupies a special place in the region. She pledged continued support whenever Venezuela faces natural disasters or humanitarian challenges. She added that government looks forward to partnering with the Venezuela's interim government and further strengthening the long-standing ties of friendship and cooperation between the two nations. Sonolala, TTT News.
It's me again on the outside. Let me see if I can make this one quick and short. So when you look at this statement and you look at the tone of the statement made by our Prime Minister, a lot of people are shocked, and I believe it's because on the campaign trail leading up to the elections, that was not the tone. The tone was one of a mother, one caring, one who is very considerate, one who's very open to transparency and accountability and freedom of speech, and giving people the opportunity to share their opinion, to switch to this kind of hostility, this condescending kind of behavior. See why there are ministers in the cabinet who hold in ministerial offices can behave like this and not be moved. Not only that, but you can see the same kind of persona from her mentor. That's how we speak to people, speak to the nation, because he's the boss. So think of the entire world. And the people will come and defend this. That's why our young people now are losing any kind of respect and decorum for office and holders of office and those in authority to them, because they're learning from the head and it's rotten as affecting the body. There are people who just come to defend this. How, boy? Make it make sense. Hey, leave a comment, make it respectable. Remember this of Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Enough is enough.
Trinidad's Prime Minister just made the entire CARICOM region blink. Left this story with Kamla giving CARICOM an offer that was almost impossible to refuse. Today, they didn't refuse. At the leaders' retreat in St. Lucia, the heads of government accepted Trinidad's proposal. The Caribbean Court of Justice will now rule on whether Carla Barnett's reappointment followed the treaty. Prime Minister's statement thanked the colleagues' heads, thanked the chairman for building consensus, and called it a win for good governance. Think about where this was 1 week ago. Trinidad refusing to recognize the Secretary General. London threat talks of a full rupture. How the dispute is heading to a courtroom in Port of Spain with all the leaders on board. Whatever the CCJ decides, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar won the thing that mattered the most. Forced 14 governments to admit that the question was worth asking. To watch the fine print, her terms included Barnett staying on month to month and everyone accepting the ruling beforehand. Statement confirms the referral, not the terms. Fight over Barnett is now a fight over a court ruling. Trinidad's Prime Minister has managed to bring this fight to familiar grounds, a courtroom. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. The ruling on Barnett's reappointment is now heading to the CCJ. Leave your thoughts and like and follow.
Caribbean cousin, Madam Boss Lady stood up in Parliament and highlight that how in 2025 the murder rate was 42% and that now in serious crime it's at 30%, and she and her party is committed on cracking down on drug trafficking, and lawlessness will not be tolerated. Madam Boss Lady, I just want to ask a question. Will you be extending the SOE on June 17? Because the one that you have in place currently is simply not working. Because just today, a beautiful soul was murdered, 12 years old, was placed in a taxi by her grandparents and did not make it home. Madam Boss Lady, every day, allegedly, Trinidadians are waking up, going about their business, and cannot make it back home. Madam Boss Lady, your SOE is not working. Madam Boss Lady, the analysis that you give about serious crimes does not make any sense to me. Why are Trinidadians still protesting? Madam Boss Lady, will you be extending the SOE on June 17? That is the $10 million questions that every Trinidadian wants to know.
The Heritage and Stabilization Fund is being built back. The economy is being built back. Look at the energy sector, Trinidad and Tobago. For the first time ever, whether or not you want to put that on the PNM shoulders or the UNC shoulders, we have investors back in Trinidad and Tobago. ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, Shell, every single gas company wants to do business with Trinidad and Tobago. Our bonds are oversubscribed for the first time ever in years. Bonds are oversubscribed, not because of Keith Rowley, I have to say Stuart Young as well, but it's because of the leadership of Kamla Persad-Bissessar. We have prosthetic limbs in Trinidad and Tobago. First time in a long time. Health, education, welfare is up. For the first time in a long time, the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago is speaking about a change in the education sector. First time in a long time. First time in 10 years, the government is speaking about back pay, updated pay. All of that for the first time in 10 years. For so long, people working 2013 salaries, Kamla come into power. You're getting 4%, you're getting 10%, you get your money. Do we have issues? Yes, we do. We do. We have issues, but Khadija Amin sat here, especially when you speak about the NPOPs program, and she said that there are issues, and especially there are payment issues that we are working with the HR department on to fix, and we're working to fix from the ministry side of things that they on that side never did.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar met with a high-level delegation from the United States today for talks aimed at strengthening the long-standing relationship between Trinidad and Tobago and the United States. In a statement following the meeting, the Prime Minister said the discussions reaffirmed the strong and enduring partnership between both countries, with focus placed on advancing cooperation in areas of mutual interest, including investment, economic development, and regional collaboration. My government remains committed to deepening international partnerships that create opportunities, promote economic growth, and improve the quality of life for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the Prime Minister said. She added that the relationship between the two nations continues to be built on mutual respect, shared values, and a common commitment to prosperity and development for both peoples. The United States delegation included Ms. Barbara Feinstein, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Caribbean Affairs and Haiti, Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs, U.S. Department of State; Mr. Philip Kern, Charge d'Affaires, United States Embassy in Port of Spain; Ms. Caroline Vick, Chief Policy Officer, U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, DFC; Mr. Ryan Berg, Office of Foreign Policy, U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, DFC; Ms. Catherine Mignone, Office of the Chief Policy Officer, U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, DFC; Ms. Paloma Gonzalez, Deputy Director, Office of Economic Policy and Summit Coordination, U.S. Department of State.
And so they've been yearning, moaning, groaning, shouting, we want a secondary school. And Cabinet, we agree, ministers, we will give to the Shelter Baptist their secondary school. We will work with them. So this wonderful time, Minister Michelle Benjamin made a very important point. There was a time when she said about discrimination, and she tried to clear up some misconceptions, that persons of the faith were ashamed to be seen or heard talking in the faith of the Spiritual Shelter Baptist. I knew that. I was a little child when my father took me down to Queen Anne Beach with my sisters and brothers, and we were baptized, and we continued to go to church and so on. Down in Pinal, there was a Baptist church there, Reverend Mother. They took us as little children, and they trained us. My father came from Brahmin Hindu Pandit, so that side of the family trained us as well. So I'm only half Hindu, half Baptist, but above all, I'm a child of God. I am a child of God. And we respect all faiths, and I'm saying we must provide for the future. On this great day then, Michelle Benjamin, Minister, I agree. Let us make a joyful noise unto the Lord. And let us remember we are all children of God. We are not of a lesser class. Mention, they were ashamed. You could imagine me, this little coolie girl from down wherever. Reverend Mother tied my head. She always talks about it, how she tied our heads and sent us forth to be good people. And so we do our best on this side. We don't make promises or stand up and say things. You've never done a single thing for the children of the faith.
Sorry, 48-4. Are you going to allow that word and hands
You cannot stop.
in this parliament?
I'm sorry?
Mr. Speaker, are you going to allow that word and Hansard in this parliament? 48-4.
It's not a question of allowing the word, it's an anecdote being given. It's not a question of it being directed to anyone. I think we need to understand allowing words on Hansard has nothing to do with anecdotal evidence. It has to be if it's directed to members. Continue.
I call myself that because I know some others on that side do the same. I'm not ashamed. You said worse. You have said worse. You have said worse. So Speaker, let me finish my greetings. I don't want to offend the chair. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words, all those words, will never hurt me. Never hurt me. And I close now, I say, greetings to the Spiritual Shelter Baptist. Greetings to the entire nation, Trinidad and Tobago, on this very important, when we could reach here now, 75 years later, Minister, you said, to reach where we are today, we are on a good footpath. We're in a good walkway, Minister Alexander. We are in a good place. This is Trinidad and Tobago, and we will fix it, and we will make TNT better. Blessings to each of you, and I thank you very much.
Right now I'm hearing that lovely song ringing in my ears. Another one bites the dust. Faris Al-Rawi, another one bites the dust. You were a former Attorney General to Trinidad and Tobago, and I completely ashamed to call you a former Attorney General. Anytime you're on the case of anything, I know for a fact that you're losing that. The entire team losing that. You are representing Dominic Hadid and his wife Genevieve Hadid in that whole matter right now. And when I saw that the appeals court say, hey, let him go, house arrest, I say, you know what, on radio I said this, the state will appeal, the state has the option to appeal, and so said, so done. Not even 24 hours later, yo, whoops, slow your roll. Faris Al-Rawi went outside walking around. Oh God, what happening? What going on? Faris, you should have never go. You're playing pushy, you're jumpy, you're jumping like a frog. Slow your roll. Know who you're dealing with. This is not the People's National Movement. This is not friends and family. This is the law, and the law will always win, simply because us on this side, Trinidad and Tobago, the United National Congress, does not operate for friends and families. The United National Congress, this government, operates under the rule of law, because that is what Kamla Persad-Bissessar subscribes to. It's not like them on that side, which is why today, Foster Cummings, on his return to Trinidad and Tobago, was stopped at Piaco International Airport and served. We will see you in court, People's National Movement, simply because you no longer have the reins of Trinidad and Tobago. This is not the Costa Nostra code, the code of secrecy that Keith Rowley mentioned on a public platform. We will expose you, and I like that Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the United National Congress, this administration, is exposing the corruption and tackling white-collared crime. For all that always keep saying, how come none of them getting arrested? Well, pay close attention. And Faris, you have plenty more to represent.
We are in a state of public emergency for over a year by this government. The government has been unable to contain the murder rate. And I am told, as of this morning, the murder toll is somewhere in the region of 205, almost on the same level at this time in 2025. The government has called a state of emergency, and according to them, to treat with specific threats and to reduce murder. This state of emergency has absolutely no effects whatsoever on the operations of gangs and on reducing the murder rate in this country. As a matter of fact, those criminals who are perpetrating murders on our population, they don't care about the state of emergency. It is business as usual for them. And what in fact has happened in this country, especially over the last 6 months, with the conduct of the Prime Minister and her Attorney General, it is innocent citizens are now living in fear as a result of the state having excessive powers that they've given to themselves under the state of emergency. Nobody wants to speak on their phone anymore. Nobody wants to go on social media to exercise their democratic rights and their right to free speech, to criticize who they elect to government. People are living in fear to exercise those cherished democratic traditions. I recall as minister, and I'm sure Mr. Imbut would recall, and Dr. Rowley as Prime Minister, and some of our colleagues who would have served in the last government, The UNC government and some of their spokespersons spend almost every day cursing us on social media, saying and calling us the most derogatory terms on social media. And I am surprised that 1 year after electing the UNC into government, having cursed the PNM every single day for the last 10 years, their citizens are now afraid to come out and criticize ministers of government, because they believe that if they do so, PDOs can be issued where they can be detained without charge for as long as we have state of emergency in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm saying today that criminals no longer fear this state of emergency. It is not containing murders. It is not containing home invasions and other serious crimes in this country. As a matter of fact, quite in the reverse, citizens are now the victims, innocent citizens are now the victims of this unjustified and unconstitutional state of emergency in Trinidad and Tobago. Look at what has happened in this particular matter, where three police officers are accused of stealing $250,000 after searching someone's premises in Claxton Bay. I'm told it's the home of a scrap iron dealer. Nothing illegal was found on the premises, and after, the owner of the home or the occupant of the home made a report that $250,000 was stolen from his property. And shortly after, the police, utilizing emergency powers, issued a detention order for this person who made a report against three police officers who allegedly stole $250,000 cash from his home, signed by the Minister of Homeland Security. That is an example of what I am telling you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago today, that the powers of the state of emergency, are no longer being used, and perhaps it never did, to contain crime, to arrest and prosecute persons who are involved in gang operations and illegal activities and criminal activities in Trinidad and Tobago. PDOs are now being used to silence and to unjustifiably incarcerate innocent citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is just the latest example of the government using PDOs by persons who, for one reason or the other, may be uncomfortable to the police. Because I am told that there's currently a case before the courts where a famous businessman issued a pre-action protocol letter against the government over a land dispute. And days after the issuance of that pre-action protocol letter against the state, a PDO was issued for his detention and the detention of his family. Citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, let me say once again, this state of emergency is not having any impact on curtailing crimes, in curtailing murders and home invasions in Trinidad and Tobago. As a matter of fact, the state of emergency is now being weaponized by the government to get at their detractors. And it is only when we come together and use the available powers that we have under the Constitution, it is only when we come together as a country and to invoke whatever powers that are available to us under the Constitution, it is only when that happens this nonsense will come to an end in this country.
The hypocrisy of this government is just mind-boggling. I was looking the other day, and every single state board, almost all, has a close relative of a government minister on that board. And they have no shame. Their son, their daughter, their wife, their brother, their mother, their father. Why are they populating the state enterprises and the statutory authorities with their close relatives, their blood relatives? Why? For what purpose? To get them a 10 days? To get them a blight? No. There has to be a deeper reason why they are planting close relatives of government ministers inside state enterprises and statutory authorities. But that is hypocritical. Because if the PNM had done that, they'd have screamed at us for 6 months. Then take the smelter. I remember the bacchanal with the smelter. I was in government then. And the smelter company got their certificate of environmental clearance. It took them years. They did an environmental impact statement and they got approval from the EMA for that project. What's going on now with these things? I mean, I just glanced at the literature and I'm sure my colleagues will have more to say. The things cause drought, they cause heat, they cause power outages, they cause noise. I mean, it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all when you look at what these AI data centers are doing. But coming back now, so that's the hypocrisy. They make a big song and dance. They take us to court over this matter. Now they're coming through with this thing and the environment doesn't seem to matter anymore. And apparently we're a lawless dump. So it's okay. I mean, that's the only way I can interpret the Prime Minister's statement. According to the Prime Minister, we are a dump. So it's okay, let's become more of a dump. No big thing. I mean, I don't understand the logic at all.
I don't care what nobody say. Again, I don't care what nobody say, but the Honorable Mrs. Kamla Sushila Persad-Bissessar is by far, in my opinion, the greatest Prime Minister, and I'm saying it again, the greatest Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago has ever seen. Now I wanted to just clock that motherfucking shit I just say because I speak in bare facts. Clock it. Bare facts. And who don't like what I say? Have yourself a Merry Christmas.
What's up, beautiful and amazing people of Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome back to this amazing channel. We are back like we never left. So today's video we are going to talk about the good island of Trinidad and Tobago, and I can tell you that something big has really changed in TNT. So many people are talking, of course, and it's not just like it's in Parliament only. It's not like it's in the televisions only, but I can tell you that even in homes of the trainee people, in the taxi park, in the markets, at workplaces, and across social media platforms, people are talking about this one question, that is if Kamla Persad is delivering on her promises. So those are some of the questions that many Trinis are asking. Of course, you have those that will support him, we'll have those that are not going to support him, and we'll have some people saying that it's simply too early to judge. So today we are going to take a closer look, of course, not through political slogans and not through party loyalty, but through the eyes of the ordinary citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. As you all know that in every election that comes in and go, each of them comes with hope for a better days, hope for new opportunities, hope that life will improve. So that wasn't different, of course, this time around. And many people, many voters in Trinidad and Tobago, they wanted change. They wanted a fresh start. They wanted a leadership that they believed it could address the country's biggest challenges. So when Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar and her party campaigned, they made a lot of promises. They promised about improving the economy of the country. They promised about tackling crime in the country. They promised about creating more jobs, more opportunities. They promised about helping many families. So these promises, as you can see, they are all about restoring confidence in the government. And those promises, it raised a lot of expectations among the good people of Trinidad and Tobago, and not just high expectation, but very high expectations. Now, as we speak, the 2025 election is over. UNC is in power, and of course, you can clearly see the campaign rallies are over. Nobody is going from one location to the other, and of course, the speeches that the good people of Trinidad and Tobago used to hear from their leaders to be by then, it has ended, and the work has begun. Right? So many people in Trinidad and Tobago, they do understand one thing, that of course there is no single government that can fix every problem in a night, and of course that is the reality. But I can tell you that economic challenges do not disappear in a week. Crime does not suddenly stop. Government projects, they do take time, because policies need to be planned, budgets need to be approved, institutions have to work together, even supporters of the government. Then I know that you acknowledge this. But again, there is another side of the story, whereby the good citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are also expecting progress. They want to see actions, they want to see momentum, they want signs that things are moving in the right direction. That is where the debate begins. So, across the entire island of Trinidad and Tobago, we have had people having mixed reaction. And of course, I can honestly tell you that some good citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are saying that they still feel encouraged in some way. They believe that the government has started taking actions, important steps. They are saying that, they're in a position to point out these particular announcements, to point out these particular policy changes. They are in a position to point out, the efforts that are being aimed at addressing long-standing issues. Others are remaining cautious in some way, and they are like, these announcements are important. We cannot disagree with that. But to us, results does matter like so much. So according to them, they want to see changes in the everyday life that they are living. They want to feel those changes also while they are there in the ground. Because you see, for many families in Trinidad and Tobago, this life that they do live in daily, it's still difficult to them. But I can tell you, we have bills that are still coming up. We have food, that are still supposed to be bought, so that at least the families can't stay hungry. We have children that need school supplies. There are businesses that are facing a lot of challenges. There are workers that are still worrying about the future. So these are the realities that each and every day Trinidadian has to go through. And politics at this point becomes somehow personal when it affects the daily life of a Trini person. So one issue that has continued to dominate conversations is the cost of living. And every day when we talk about leadership and governance, this is something that we cannot skip without talking. We cannot do a video without talking about the cost of living. So almost everybody in Trinidad and Tobago, I know everybody has an opinion, and we've seen some families saying that groceries are stretching beyond their budgets. We have seen some families saying that their household expenses are really, really high. We've seen small business owners saying that they are facing, high cost of, or rather experiencing high cost of operational costs. So many citizens, they do hope that these policies from the government will gradually ease these pressures, economic pressures. But again, there are those that are willing to give the government some time. They just came in recently. Let's give them some more time. We need to be more patient. But you see, we have those that are impatient. They do believe that this relief from the government should come like really, really fast. So these particular differences in expectations, it does shape how much of the national conversation gets into the public and are not, then there is this crime issues in Trinidad and Tobago. I know that this issue to do with the crime, it has created like a stronger emotions among the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and people want to feel safe. Of course, I know you want to feel safe. I want to feel safe, and workers want to travel without fear. We've seen business owners who are saying that they want to protect their investments. We've seen communities in the streets of Lanteville saying that they want peace, they want to feel safe. So many Trinidadians are watching closely to see what measures that the government is going to take in order to completely curb or solve the insecurity issues. So we have people that are welcoming government initiatives, and they are saying that they are going to judge success by the outcomes of the government and not the announcements, or rather what they are just saying. Anyway, many people just want to feel safer. They don't want anything else. Job is another issue, or opportunities is another issue that the young people are continuing to discuss. I mean, employment opportunities. We've seen so many graduates dream of stable careers and seeking better paying jobs. They hope for opportunities that match their skills. Entrepreneurs also, they do hope for an environment that encourages investments in Trinidad and Tobago and also growth. They want confidence, stability, policies that support businesses, because at the end of the day, when this business grow, it means that jobs also will actually grow. So public confidence is another important issue. Trust is very difficult to build at the end of the day, remember that, and it's very easy to lose again. So many Trinidadians, they tend to say that, you know what, you're going to judge the government not only by the policies, but also by communication. You know, people want leaders who explain decisions. They want leaders who answer difficult questions. They want leaders who remain visible and leaders who engage with the public. So at this point, many Trinidadians are saying that communication matters a lot. And just like the policy itself, you know, it does matter. When there is a policy in place, it needs to be communicated to the people in a language that they do understand. So when Trinidadians say that they do understand what the government is doing, they are most of the time saying that, yeah, we will be patient, but we will be watching. So when this communication is unclear, of course, there is uncertainty that grows in between. And nowadays, social media has amplified every opinion, I can tell you. Just come up on social media and say something, oh man, you'll actually receive a lot of engagement, especially if it's like, if it involves leadership and governance. And we've seen those that support the UNC government praise the progress that has already happened in Trinidad and Tobago. We've seen the opposition leaders trying to raise concerns, and also the opponents, or those that don't support. We've seen independent voices asking questions. We've seen videos, comments, you know, and we've always seen the people of Trinidad and Tobago debating about the issues that are happening in Trinidad and Tobago. So sometimes facts and opinion become mixed together, but I don't know if that makes it even more important to separate verified information from speculations. You see, Trinidadians deserve accurate information. They deserve respectful debate. So there is one issue that is very, very clear. The expectations among the good people of Trinidad and Tobago are enormous. And many citizens, I know they voted because they wanted change, and that desire has not disappeared. If anything, it has actually become stronger. And we will continue watching, we'll continue to evaluate, we'll continue to see every policy decision, speech, announcement. I mean, you see, for any government, the level of scrutiny comes with the responsibility of delivering results over time. There's another thing that we really need to talk about. and that is governments inheriting challenges from the previous government. And you see, some of these problems, they do begin way before even a new administration takes office. You see things like economic conditions, public finances, and infrastructure. I mean, institutional issues. These do not change overnight, honestly, because we need to recognize the fact that context is important. And at the same time, voters, most of the time, they focus on the present. They don't want to look at how did this come into place. They don't want to look at an issue that started like way back, like 3 administration back. So what is being done now is one of the most important questions that is actually shaping the opinions that is happening in Trinidad and Tobago. I know some are remaining like extremely optimistic, and they do believe that change takes time, but yeah, they need to be patient, and they believe that reforms require time, and they don't really need to convince us. So of course, we have the opposers who cannot wait forever. And I can tell you that we need to understand both sides of the story because, yeah, after listening to them, they do make sense. And that is why our conversation in today's video matters a lot. It's all about examining expectations, progress, and the challenges that are ahead of us. So, if we go deeper and deeper into this story, because you see, this conversation is not just about politics, it's about the everyday life that a normal Trinidadian tends to live. It's about what the people are seeing, what the people are feeling, what the people are expecting. And for many Trinidadians, the economy remains the biggest concern. You see, Trinidadians want stability, opportunities, confidence, and a very strong economy that, is going to help everyone in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, helping them positively, helping the workers, the businesses, students. I mean, everybody, even those that have already retired. Yeah, and when the economy grows, people hope for more jobs. And, these more jobs will actually happen because, you see, everything is running out well. So when businesses expand, of course, that will mean that the families and communities of Trinidad and Tobago is going to expand. And this is why many Trinidadians are saying, or rather paying close attention to every economic decision that is being made by the government. I know some business owners are saying that they are hopeful. They are saying that they believe confidence is beginning to return. And I can tell you that others are saying that they are still waiting to see for a stronger results, waiting for more investment, waiting for more opportunities. The difference, and that difference actually, in their opinion, I know it makes a lot of sense. So the cost of doing businesses, be it small or large, I can tell you that is the backbone of many communities, and they actually like determine if they are going to employ local people, support families, keep neighborhoods alive. I can tell you that many business owners are running businesses, are saying that running businesses in Trinidad and Tobago is not easy. The operational cost high, competition is very tough, consumer spending is like unpredictable. So as you can see, many entrepreneurs in Trinidad and Tobago are saying that they are hoping that the government will come up with policies that will make it easier for their business to grow. They just want like fewer or rather less obstacles. They want a business environment that rewards hard work. Whether those expectations are being met is still a matter of debate in Trinidad and Tobago. The young people also, they do have like a lot of questions because you see, there are so many people that are in school and there are so many people that have gone through university and they have finished. Some have even graduated. Some have technical skills. So all these people, they do want jobs, and it's not like they want temporary jobs. It's not like they want uncertain jobs. They want, I mean, something that they can be in on a permanent and pensionable structure. So as you can see, they want a future that they can build on, depend on, and for many young people in Trinidad and Tobago, I can tell you that they do love their country like so much. They want to stay there. They want to contribute. They want the best opportunities. They want to know that, hard work will pay off at last. So, my good people, families in Trinidad and Tobago are watching. Parents are like, we are thinking about the future every day. They actually think about the education, their healthcare, housing, food, transportation of the families, how they're going to experience it. So, as you can see, what you are talking about is not like it's political. These are daily realities. You see, when families feel kind of pressurized, they'll notice that every government decision that is being made, and of course, some will be saying that, oh, we are feeling encouraged by the direction of the country. Those are just a few of them. And I know others will be like, they're still waiting to feel a meaningful improvement in this particular country. So, at last, communication has become another major topic that we really need to discuss, because you see, many people want to be updated on what's happening. They want transparency, they want honesty. So many trainees appreciate when their leaders get to explain these difficult decisions that have been made by the government, even when the news is not perfect, because you see, most of the time trust grows through communication. Silence creates uncertainty in most cases, and that is why many Trinidadians are paying attention to press conferences, government statements, these interviews being done by our leaders, public addresses. They just want to understand where the country is heading. And another important question is expectations. You see, a place where expectation is too high, I can tell you, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Elections came in and they went, and this elections campaign, they created an excitement, because you see, the voters become hopeful, and because you see, these promises that are being made, they inspire confidence. But you see, governing is very different from campaigning. You see, once you get into office, you'll have to face the reality of budgeting, approval, legal procedures, administrative process, global economic pressures, unexpected challenges, and many people are not ready for this. So you'll see that many experts say that, you see, hey, these kind of realities, they tend to slow the progress that had been promised. And I can tell you a large number of Trinidadians understand that, but of course they also expect visible growth, something that they can see. And that balance is not really easy to capture it. So if you talk about political sides, many of these people are optimists. They are saying that, you see, meaningful promises do take time, and they are pointing out that a lasting change cannot happen like in a day or in an overnight. You can't just say today and tomorrow it's done. But again, you see, we have criticizers. Oh man, these people, they can actually, tell you something that you said like 20 years ago. These people, they are telling the government that, oh man, we voted for change. We didn't vote for delays and explanations. We voted for action. So that debate about Trinidad and Tobago and their promises, they'll keep talking about it each and every day. And I can tell you that's part of a democratic country. People will have different opinions, people will have different expectations, people will have different conclusions. But one thing is impossible to ignore, and that is, people are paying attention, the Trinidadians themselves. You see, every announcement that is being discussed, every interview will be analyzed, every policy will receive, of course, praise from some, criticism from some, and that is the reality of modern politics. And remember that also social media shapes most of these opinions. And as much as many Trinidadians, they do believe in accountability, or accountability matters, they also expect the government to at least explain what they have achieved, and what's the challenge, and what are they planning to do about it. You see, so those are some of the issues that are being discussed about. So we've talked about expectations, we've talked about economy, jobs, crime, cost of living, and now we want to know, like, what will happen next, because you see, at this point, we want to see how the government measures most of these things, but not really by campaigning speeches or by promises, just by the action and results. Because at the end of the day, you see, every administration eventually reaches a point whereby the people will begin to ask one simple question: my life really changed in a positive manner? And of course, for some it will be yes, for others it will be like maybe, maybe not. So these are the kind of the issues that make people to come out here and speak about, how they feel about the promises that are being made during the campaign season. So thank you so much. If you watched the clip up to this point, kindly go into the comment section and comment what do you think about this particular title. I'll see you in the next video.